What's going on, everybody? So when it comes to movies, I think Netflix is kind of like hit or miss at this point. The last one I saw wasn't too terribly good, but they had a couple of really good ones that came out. And plus, they're just killing it in the TV department. So I figured, hey, this movie Clinical just popped up. Let's check this out. But I also went into it thinking, oh, this could be fucking terrible. Actually, it's not that bad, to be completely honest. Realistically, though, it's not great. I'm not going to say that this is a great movie by any stretch. Like, there are some surprisingly redeemable qualities about this movie, despite it being not all that great. Like, the main actress in the movie is really good. Not like Academy Award worthy, but still, she was pretty fucking good for like being able to carry the whole freaking movie. She has this very like dark, brooding, I don't really want to go into detail about my past kind of thing going on. Like she's kind of a hard ass, or at least she comes off that way. So she's like a really like strong female protagonist, which is good. The guy who plays her kind of like boyfriend guy she's seeing, he's like alright, he's nothing special. And the plot of the movie centers around the main female. She's like a therapist, and she used to help people with like PTSD or people that suffered like abuse and shit like that. But the opening scene is like a really bad experience she had, and so now she just, does couples counseling and she helps people with like anxiety. Like basically, the movie does a really good job of portraying how bored she is doing what she's doing, but ultimately it is better for her. Like she knows she's on a boring ass path of life, but it's like not detrimental and it's not gonna like psychologically annoy the piss out of her or harm her. But she kind of dabbles back into the movie with a guy who suffered from a car accident and his face is like all mangled. And that dynamic was fucking sweet too. Like the patient-doctor relationship that they had, it was actually like very, very believable. And it's like, I could totally see this actually happening in real life. And I also really liked how this movie touched on the fact that a lot of therapists actually go to like therapy. Like it's not abnormal for therapists and psychiatrists to actually like see somebody on a weekly basis to like, because that's what they do for a living. So they know when they need to like talk to somebody. And her particular relationship with her therapist, it could have been a little better, but it was actually decent. So I was like, all right. But some of the things that I didn't like was like the movie isn't really like that scary. Like I think there was only like one scene where I was like legitimately creeped out. Like I had to get up and go to the bathroom. And I was like looking behind myself for a second, but that only lasted for about 3 seconds. And then I'm like, oh, it's just a fucking movie. Whatever. And honestly, the movie felt like a drama, but it was kind of just like shoved in the horror genre. So it was just kind of like, is this really a horror movie? Because I really didn't think so. And to be honest, the second half of the movie is a little bit predictable. Like you kind of know what's going to happen at a certain point, or at least I did. Maybe some people won't pick up on it, but I kind of like had an inkling as to what was going on. And honestly, there's a couple of like twists and turns and shit like that that actually turned out like pretty decent, but it was not like anything that you haven't fucking seen before. Like the second half of the movie is like same shit, different toilet, you know? And I thought they went a little bit overboard with the blood splatter in this movie. Like it wasn't a Jason versus Freddy remake, so it wasn't over the top, but it was just like slightly more than what I would consider a tasteful amount. Like it was just a little bit, they tried a little bit too hard with that. And that's kind of how I felt about the movie. It was like they tried and they put a really good effort, but they tried just a little bit too hard, and it was just kind of like, it could have been a little bit better. I was a little bit let down, not gonna lie. But overall, it was a decent watch. Like, I mean, like the music was good, the acting was actually surprisingly good, and the makeup on the guy who was like a victim from the car accident was actually pretty good. Like it honestly looked like a botched facelift almost, because essentially that's what it was. But again, it wasn't over the top, but it was just slightly more than tasteful. So it could have been better, but again, decent. That's really all I can say. But it didn't annoy me. Like I didn't think they did a bad job with pretty much anything in the movie. I couldn't say like anything was like super, super terrible. One thing that I actually really loved about the movie was the camera work though. And I'm not like a cinematography nerd. Like I don't really know how like shots are set up and stuff like that, except for this one. But like I thought they did a really good job, and there were some really long like tracking shots in this movie that are like more than 5 minutes long, and that's hard to do because you gotta like hit your mark and you gotta like remember exactly physically verbatim like how to do something for 5 minutes straight and do it perfectly. And they did that like a noticeable amount of times throughout the movie. And there's one scene where somebody like faints and the camera like follows them for like 2 seconds, and for just like the length of a heartbeat you actually felt like you were falling with the character, and then it like cut away like right after like you realized what was going on. So it was like, hey, the illusion is happening, but it's, oh, we're just in a movie, it's cool. That was like a nice little like tick to like the camera work that I thought was actually pretty brilliant. So long story short, this movie does have a lot of redeemable qualities, but I kind of expected a little bit more, and I'm not a horror fan, so I wasn't like fucking raving when I found out this movie was being made. But it wasn't totally worthless. Like it was actually a decent watch. So I think for a score, I'm probably gonna give it a 6.1 out of 10. There's a lot of good shit that happens in the movie. There's a lot of redeemable qualities. It was well executed, but I just thought the story could have been a little bit stronger, and they could have done a few things here and there that were a little better. But overall, not bad. But anyway, enough of my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Did you see the movie? Hop in the comments, let me know what's up. Other than that, if you like this video, drop me a like, subscribe, do all that other bullshit, and I'll catch you guys later.